degrees away. You know,
Oh my God.
Okay, guys, back to this.
All right, guys, here we go. It's an exciting time again.
We're working on one. We got 2 left.
We got 2 left to go, guys. We got bandsaw and belt sander.
This presentation is brought to you by Taiwan, the letter K.
Okay, so the bandsaw, it's probably the most used piece of equipment while we're at the shop. It really is, because a lot of things don't need to be cut with that high of precision.
We just need to make them small.
It's quick, relatively safe, and it's usually
it's the most
really
scary,
easy.
but it's very easy to be safe.
It's usually easy to get to and get your work cut and get out of there. So we can start talking about the bandsaw here. But I think you've got a big picture over here. There we go.
That's the bandsaw. That's the one. That's like pretty much the only one we use.
So the idea is, where's the ruler of death here?
Right, you're standing on it.
But the reason they call it a bandsaw is because it has a spinning blade, or a blade that rotates down here through. It's got some pulleys through, and up around here there's a motor then that pushes it, pulls it back down in here. So it's this big circulating blade, right? I don't know, it's probably 5 feet.
It's really big.
It's big, okay. So anyway, yeah, it's really big. So when it starts up, and here it goes. It's really nice and smooth.
It makes a big. It vibrates and it feels scary, but
it does. And so just like any of these saws, when you're lining up your work and stuff, you want to make sure that your hands, aren't in the way of that blade, right?
They don't go into the big sharp.
So you're always going. Yeah. So I mean, obviously, if there's the blade, you're not going to put your thumbs out there like that, get chopped off or anything. You always make sure that you're 3 inches away from that blade when you're cutting.
And put what do they call it? A gate piece? A fence? Yeah.
Okay, so some of the interesting parts that you can see from here are, here's the blade, here's the guard, which you're going to label on our test.
It's stone, you guys.
Guys,
Look up back there.
not time to talk right now. Okay.
So we're gonna. This is the blade. This up here. Here's the guard. It is the guard that is mentioned. That was originally mentioned in the general safety. Over here are the on-off buttons and the lamp button. Here's another air cannon, air gun. So that's now
Yes. So the switch is up here.
the next one goes into on that.
Okay.
Here's a grinder we don't use.
Got me going on the next one. Here you go.
There we go. So this is a zoom in on those buttons. Here's the stop button. Here's the start button. This stop button is like really easy to press. It's all like the start button is harder to press because it's recessed with a big metal ring around it to make it so it's harder to accidentally turn it on, because the repercussions of accidentally turning it on are significantly higher than the repercussions of accidentally turning it off.
Yeah.
And this is a light. For
I wonder why.
this lamp,
Yeah.
so you can have a better look at it more easily. So go back. So risky. Sketchy.
Is there anything else there?
Next. Oh yeah, here we go. Here's the air blower. Here's the table. Here's the blade. It's sharp. Here's the guard. It's not sharp. It guides the blade and helps it so it doesn't get all bent out and breakable.
What's the air blower for?
Huh?
What's the air blower for?
It's to remove flecks of aluminum or other kinds of metal. Next.
So what you can do is like the compressed air thing. What you do
It's just
is
compressed air.
after you get cut, and there's
It's a
usually
shop air.
bits of material all around the blade and stuff. So what you do is you can blow it, back and away. And then what we do when we're done with the day is we go behind and we sweep all the little bits and stuff that blow back there. It's just to kind of keep it clean, so you can see what you're doing when you come with your next piece of metal to cut.
Also, if all else fails, if something you can't do it any other way and it's heating up too much, you can actually just continuously blow on the thing and do it now. And if flecks are flying in your face, you can also have someone else blow it so it doesn't go in your face.
Yeah.
Hit next. Here's the other bandsaw we do. It is smaller, and it's made for cutting steel. This is a miter gauge. It basically allows you to cut at angle. You can put your metal in this little miter gauge.
Groove.
I don't know.
Groove.
You put well, no, you don't put that's the miter gauge. Goes in the groove. It's like a little flat surface. You push your metal up against it, and you can twist this knob to adjust the angle, so you can have like an angle on your cut. Yeah, the difference between these two is the bites on this saw are a lot smaller than like the bites on the other saw, because steel is much harder than aluminum, so you need to take out less material at a time. So yeah, I'll draw you a pretty picture. It's like no problem.
That's like the bandsaw, and then sorry, that's like one for aluminum. And the steel one is just really small. They're they look about like that.
They're like bumps. They look like little bumps.
That gets so you can really tell the difference
Yeah.
between. And then the materials will help you. They won't go around. They'll be primarily using the other one.
Yeah, this is for.
This other one's kind of out of the way. This one's out of the way. And this one's where
It's sitting
all
right.
the other equipment is generally. So anything else here? Let's talk about the guard and how you adjust that.
Oh, so this top part, hit back, like go up twice. Up twice. So this whole thing opens up with this handle, and then you can see like the pulleys and stuff. There's a basically there's like a handle that you can do to make this thing slide up and down freely, and then you tighten it back up. That's how you raise and lower the guard. Most of the time, the guard's in a place that's good enough. It's normally pretty low. You want it to be about an inch over the metal.
So so if you're cutting a piece, you want it about an inch over there. That doesn't.
And if it's an inch and a half, it's fine. It's just around an inch.
Yeah.
Not like 6 inches, because that'd be ridiculous.
So it's probably pretty intuitive though. But whenever you make any adjustments to the machinery, you always wait. Make sure that it's off.
Make sure it's not
and
spinning.
Nothing's spinning, right? That makes sense. That's true for anything. If you're going to grab something behind the blade or anything, just make sure that the blade is completely stopped. And it does take a little while for it to stop because it's got so much momentum when it's spinning around. So
Because it's a big giant piece of steel.
and it's a huge temptation to just grab it, but just don't.
Yeah, it's also
a few
hot
seconds later.
and sharp.
Yeah.
Hot and sharp are not a good combo ever. Yeah, I think
Well,
there's.
the other thing that you might want to consider, or you should probably do, if you got a small piece of work that you're using on, or you're using, and say here's the blade right here,
Oh,
or I'll use this as the blade here, and you want to cut off just a little bit off the end. So what you do is you hold the work like this. You use a push stick, okay, to move it along
Like this could be like
on
a
the
pusher.
side that's closest to the blade, okay? Because if it's less than 3 inches, it's going to be pretty small, pushing it through on the right hand side. So use a push stick or another piece of metal, kind of guide it along, so you don't risk your fingers.
Fingers are fun to have.
Yeah. And if you can't find something to push it with, talk to a mentor. There's these pieces of scrap wood around that are really good for that. Okay. What else we got?
Hey, go to the pro tips.
Pro tips.
Yeah, it's after the steel page. Pro tips. So you should watch your fingers. Obviously, watch your stance. I discovered this yesterday. I didn't get the same kind of training that other people did. But when you're milling, you don't want to lean on the piece because if when it goes through, you'll pitch forward into the blade of sharpness.
Tyler, the feet are actually supposed to be like this.
Yeah, like this. Yeah, like one in front of the other, so you can.
Well, no, see how this is like perpendicular, so you're like purposely, like not going to be able to put your full weight there. So this goes like this, and then you go like that.
With that either.
Right.
When
So
your
you're gonna
legs
be
are like that,
solid.
it's a kind of impossible to just go forward.
Yeah.
So,
We'll get to some stance here. We didn't cover that one.
The idea is you don't fall forward.
Yeah. So basically, make it so you don't fall forward and you can't fall forward. Another thing is to notice that having a fence, which is like, actually I could probably do this with this and that plate, the big metal plate that I can't find. Derping. There we go.
Derping.
Okay, so let's say this is your plate, right? Your table. Yeah, you hold the table, 'cause that's heavy. And it's hard to do that. So let's say I wanted to make a cut, and here's your blade here-ish. You could take your clamp and then just clamp this onto it. And then you could run your piece along this thing to make sure it will go straight. Generally you want to make it so it's like the same distance from the edges, so it's a nice straight line that's actually perpendicular to the edges, but yeah.
So that way, if you have a cut that you're trying to make on a piece of wood that's completely parallel, you can use that technique to make a really nice straight line. Otherwise, if you're just trying to follow a line with the bandsaw,
It's really hard.
It's really hard, yeah.
It likes to jump around.
So,
Although if you're just eyeballing something, you can do that.
Yeah.
If it's like completely unprecise, you don't need.
Yeah.
Generally, you want to use it. And normally there's normally like a steel bar nearby the bandsaw for that purpose.
Hey, look, money.
Be careful when cutting two things at once. If you're trying to cut two things in a row, which you can do, be very careful that they don't fly out when one of them is done cutting and the other one still is. So that's a very important thing to be aware of, that cutting two things at once is inherently more risky. Measure takes cut once. Metal is expensive. Let's try and use as little as possible. Make sure that all your things are correct before you cut. And don't be stupid. Don't let's see if I can stop the blade with my hand! Or, let's open this up and put my hand in the rotating pulley. Seems like a good, common sense.
How bad it would
Use your brain, and you'll be fine.
Oh, and if you have if you're cutting a piece of metal and it gets really hot, you should probably not use a rag to hold it, because the rag might catch the blade. And then
just like
oh, that's true.
that's what somebody was doing. They're using the rag.
Or you can just go a bit slower, let it cool down some. Yeah. If it's getting really hot, then that's bad. Okay, what is this?
Guard.
Huh?
Unguard.
What is that?
blade.
What is this?
Table.
What's this one?
The off, on, light, lamp.
Is there anything else?
Air compressor.
Air compressor, the belts inside.
Belt cover.
Some of one of the bandsaws has a table that actually can tilt. So when you're doing that, it doesn't tilt to, you want to tilt it to the max at 45 degrees, because if you go past 45 degrees and you do that angle, you could literally just spin it around. And it would be, if you needed to have a 60-degree angle, you could just rotate it around 180, the whole piece 180 degrees, and you'd get the same thing. So 45 is the max. And also, if you're going over that, it's getting more and more prone to falling off, which is bad. So 45 degrees is the best number. Stock is a metal. If you see the word stock, think metal. Oh, okay. Send me. Left, right side. Okay. So, go back 1 or 2. Go back to the overview. Okay, so you know how the blade rotates like this? Stop, don't! That one! Okay, so if a blade were to break, who here is taking physics?
I am.
Okay, so do you guys know about centripetal force?
No, not yet.
Oh, I know.
Where things that are, when they're going, they want to
We're doing
continue
with the
going. Things always want to, okay. So centripetal force, basically, things always want to go straight. Things don't like curving. This is spinning around really fast. If it breaks, it's going to want to go out. If you're standing to the right, and it breaks, it's going to go out into you. Fast-moving, sharp things are scary. So what you want to do is you want to stand on the left side, because then you'll be in like the middle, which is like this bubble of safety, because it's going to go away from you, which is good. So always stand to the left side. Don't stand on the right. Also, don't stand on the right even if you're not using it, because you don't want to be the guy who stood too close and then got their head, or got their neck slit by a bunch of
You
flying
don't want to become a
metal.
citizen.
Don't. Painful.
That'll
is
be our
bad.
first fatality.
Yeah, we don't want any, we haven't had any major injuries ever.
Don't satisfy GLaDOS.
Well, we haven't lost any fingers. We haven't. The worst thing that's happened is someone got their finger drilled into. That was me.
Lovely.
It was like minor.
Yeah, not drilled into, just like drilled onto. It
Yeah,
wasn't that big.
a screw jumped and cut
Yeah, that wasn't that
and
big.
pulled off some of the skin.
That's it. No.
And then also, we had a fleck of aluminum going to someone's eye because they weren't wearing safety glasses.
Did the eye come out?
I was actually a mentor. So he learned to wear safety glasses from then on.
Who was it?
I'm not gonna say.
Does it? Yeah.
In theory.
Make your adjustments when it's not spinning. Relief cuts. Okay, sometimes you want to make a nice curve on the metal. Pump this thing up.
I like
Inside cut.
You want to make a nice happy curve. So if you have your curve, here's your square of metal. You want to make a curve like this. The bandsaw does not like curves. So the way you would do it is you'd go like this, this, and then like this, and like this, this, and like this. And those are called relief cuts to relieve the pressure on the blade. So the blade doesn't break and you don't get killed. Because you're standing on the right side.
The other
Mine's
one,
more square.
I didn't say it was square. It's the Domo. Anyway, so this is the land I ran into this problem last year. Domo dolphin. Anyway, so this is another kind of inside relief that you can cut. So you had to have something like this where you need this out of this material, right? This is what you wanted to say. So you have an inside cut like this. In this case, yeah, you could cut along for a while with a bandsaw, but then at some point you're not going to be able to
Just
go
go
forward.
curve. You're not
And so what you need to do is you need to back up the bandsaw, right, the blade, and you come at it again, and then you back it up, and you come at it again. So you have a series of cuts, okay?
Yeah.
And then you come back after that, and you kind of clean it up. But you get the big chunk out of here by making a series of cuts where you back up and you go forward. Oops.
Makes it all jaggedy, but it makes it so it's
Yeah.
easier to just kind of like, oh, just
Because the bandsaw blade,
just like, yeah.
bandsaw blade is about that thick. It's pretty thick.
I'm that big.
it's pretty big piece of metal.
It's pretty wide. So
That's why you don't
so
want
you
to cut
can't,
it.
yeah, so you can't like turn it on a diamond. You can't.
It's
turn
not
it.
like a jigsaw.
You kind of have to sit there and go like that as you go across it. So those are what relief cuts are. And generally when you're doing this kind of work, you need to take it nice and slow.
We should get one.
So
Okay. No, okay, no projecting.
It's not okay.
No, just I'm not going to talk about that anymore. No, just let the credit be cool.
Okay, so what else? So we talked about.
Okay.
So we talked about a bunch of stuff. We talked about the table. It can only rotate 45 degrees, right?
On the little one.
Yeah, a little one.
Yep.
And we talked about a lot about the blade. Now it's spinny, scary, and
Keep your fingers 3 inches away from it. 3 is generally a good rule of thumb for inches away from cutting things. 3 is the magic number. Okay, so let's do a quick review on the parts, and then we will progress to the test. We're almost done, guys. We're almost done. We finish this test, and then we do one more, and we're done. Okay, what's that?
This way.
Guard, table, chair, lamp, on lamp.
Okay, good. So there are no lines for the guard or the lamp, so you have to label those. You can make your own little lines and stuff. So we're gonna pass that out now. Because I couldn't get the board document to
Well, something eternal plasma isn't like 40,000 degrees.
I don't know.
Plasma's hotter.
Ooh, water jet.
Be like, oh, H2. Like,
I know what that is.
It's just high pressure.